All right, you fucking asshole. Get in the car. We got to take a ride.
Fuck, you driving?
Why, you want to drive?
No.
Okay, I'll fucking drive. Jesus Christ. Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
I was thinking sometimes we get in this car and it's like full of vitriol in here. You notice that? It's like we're always yelling about stuff and like pissed off. Like what kind of...
It's like the
what is
bitch
this?
and moan mobile.
I don't understand. Don't we ever drive and like chill and be happy?
It's like cash cab for disgruntled old people.
I know. What the fuck, right? And it's like there's nothing bad going on here. It's just our mouths yapping about horrible things.
I know.
It's like we have issues, I think.
Do you think we're imprinting some bad mojo on the vehicle itself, maybe?
I think maybe the car is what does it. You get in, you turn into a fucking asshole.
That's right. In which case, probably a lot of cars have that problem.
Let me tell you, all day long, I don't sound like this. I sound like a normal human that speaks in a low voice with very good diction, and I sound like I'm not even from here. But now I get in this car, and I sound like I could barely talk, like I got a potato in my mouth, and I was born in fucking like Bensonhurst, and now I'm pissed off about everything, and I want to murder people. What is going on? I think the Catholics, they call it demon possession.
Well, it's a good question because, usually you don't get that old and gruff until you're like 60.
I know, right? Like I get in this car, I aged 25 years.
Retirement age. Old people.
But what's retirement age? Like too old to breathe? Like you can't do shit. Go lay down, old man.
Yeah.
That's what retirement age is, right?
Can't do shit. Literally can't do shit.
Like what happens when you're 35 and you're like, fuck it, I retire. I reached the age. Like, people are like, no, you're 35. That's not the age. Yeah, but I got $1 billion though. So I retired. No, that's not retirement age. So what do you do? What do? You walk around pretending you're working?
Those fuckers are insufferable.
What do? You walk around with $1 billion at 35 pretending you're working because everybody's pissed off that you don't work because you're not old? Is that what it is? I think people are ageist.
I'd like to have the opportunity to find out, but I probably will never earn $1 billion.
Yeah, that's not bad. It's very negative. That's very negative thinking.
Is.
Like, why? What's wrong? Like, what's $1 billion? Like, why don't you make 100 billion? Why stop at $1 billion? You're so like self-defeating.
Oh well, they're not stopping.
$1 billion.
The billionaires aren't stopping.
$1 billion is like nothing.
Stopping. They're going to keep going.
$1 billion is nothing.
They're going to have all the money.
Like, what the fuck's $1 billion?
Well, yeah. I mean, national debt.
I'll never get that.
Trillions now. Can you even envision $1 trillion?
I can't envision past $400. That's how small my mind is.
Well,
like, I don't know how big 500
that's the
is.
human condition right there.
Like, I heard about it. I heard about 500, but I can't envision it. My mind is small. Let me ask you this, because we're old, right? They always talk about like old dogs, new tricks. You know what that means, right? When they say old dogs, new tricks.
Yeah.
Like that's not the full saying. They just say that.
No.
They go, old dogs, new tricks. You're supposed to know what that means. What does that mean to you?
Once something's been around long enough, you shorten it, right?
Well, if you're smart, right?
It's kind of like the equivalent to yada, yada, yada. That's been shortened to yada.
Yeah, but yada, yada, yada don't mean nothing. All it is like I'm shitting on a plate and you fill in the plate with whatever. Yada, yada, yada is like, where did that come from? Some guy from Long Island said that once?
Probably some guy named Yada.
Some guy in the 80s from Long Island said that once, and now everyone can't stop saying it like as if it's fucking cool or something. I never say yada, yada, yada in my life except now because it's not part of my vernacular. Like I didn't pick it up and say, I'm saying that. But some people have to, right? Because it's like they picked it up, right? So if I say old dog, new tricks, like what does that mean to you?
It means you can't teach an old dog new tricks.
See, you said the whole thing. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. So that's who we are. We're old dogs, and there's no new tricks. You know what I say? Fuck it. I'm learning new tricks. I'm old with new tricks.
What tricks are they referring to?
Every day is a new trick.
What are you
know
what
I mean?
What trick you learned today?
I'm doing it right now. This is the trick. I'm doing it. I'm learning it.
Okay.
Go ahead. You go. Go ahead. Do the trick.
I'm an old dog.
There you go. Okay, so I'm going to take over. Watch this. So in the 80s, we both knew what we know what the 80s are like, right? Remember the 80s?
Oh, yeah.
I still think the more time goes forward, the 80s, when you look back at the 80s, you're like, holy fuck, how were those 80s so amazing, right? They're so amazing that people are trying to bring back the 80s hard now, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, remember when in the 90s, everybody was like obsessed with the 70s. They were like, yo, we need to get with the 70s. The 70s were so cool. Everybody said in the 90s, they were like, we're going to bring back bell bottoms. You know, we're going to bring back everything 70s, 90s style now. So then we got Lenny Kravitz, you know, we got all kinds of weird shit like Counting Crows. You know, we got fucking everything that seemed to be the 70s rebirth in the 90s. We got to see that bullshit. And what's funny is luckily that went away because the 90s went away. So the 90s echoed the 70s. So when the 90s went away, the echo of the 70s went away. But at the same time, they were like, well, what's next? Well, we need to bring back the 80s. So what did you see during the entire fucking beginning of this century, the 21st century? All we saw was rehashing the fucking 80s. It was like
references.
Neon lights, bright pastel colors, suddenly fucking weird little like mini high top Reeboks are cool, fucking mom jeans. Now suddenly mom jeans are the shit where they go all the way up to your fucking rib cage for some fucking reason. And it's like, but in the 90s, it was all about low rise. It was like that fucking that waist was going lower and lower and lower. So now it's like now you could tell who someone is. Let's say a woman wearing jeans, you could tell what fucking generation she's from by how high or how low her fucking jeans go, right? But none of them are from the fucking 80s, right?
Right.
So what's funny is the 80s, when you look back at the 80s, you're like, yo, they're still going hard. They're still going hard with the 80s. They don't know what to do. They're like, everything fucking sucks right now. We need to go back to the 80s again.
It seems like the more things suck, the more they turn to the 80s to turn it around. Or
the 80s was like a fucking time of like amazing happiness or something.
Like a decade of, hey, things are okay here.
So when
it wasn't, there was still all the problems of the world, but I don't know, man.
Yeah, but
everything references the 80s now.
It's like
everything. It's all targeted at us.
So when you think of the 80s,
we were 80s.
When you think of the 80s and like, I don't know how to explain it. Shit that just stands out that makes you, oh fuck, those were the 80s. Those were the good times. Like what's some of the first shit that comes into your mind?
Well, the music is very distinct for the 80s. I mean, there's no denying that. The 80s
and guess what? That came back.
Specific.
That's back now.
Yeah, I might actually stand a chance with that music coming back because I grew up on that shit.
But what I'm saying is it's back. It's already here. The rehashed 80s is here now. That music's here. Okay. So what else what else reminds you of how awesome the 80s was?
Oh, boy. Well.
Old dog, new tricks.
Yeah.
Go back to those times when that old dog was like all about new tricks and happy and fucking making his way. What the fuck were you like living on in the 80s?
Yeah, like big hair was a big thing in the 80s.
That's a good thing or a bad thing you're saying?
I don't have an opinion either way.
What about good things? Only good things. What's so good about that? Because what are we going to do? Bring back big hair now? I'm saying what's so awesome about the 80s that we cannot let go? Because that shit was so good. What is it? Like, is there anything that pops into your head? Or you just like, I don't know, like the 80s. Like, the 80s. Like, I need like some concrete shit. What the fuck is it that's in your head? Anything? What do you got? Spill it out. Or is the old dog so old that the dog's like, I remember the 80s, but actually I don't. I don't.
I'm the wrong guy because I can't.
So you didn't live in the 80s. You didn't exist.
Remember shit. I've got everything past last week is a little hazy and it gets darker.
Oh, so you're like a guy whose like hard drive got erased by accident because you went by a magnet.
Somebody stuck my floppy disk to the refrigerator with a magnet.
All right, so here we go. Old dog, new tricks. Here we go. 80s. Yeah. You know what? Candy. First thing I think of is candy.
Skittles came to mind.
Dude, in the 70s, there was no candy. Candy was
None?
shit in the 70s. Think of 70s candies. Go ahead. You think about the 70s. Is there any candy? Besides,
there
like,
was
there's like grandma hard candies.
Mr. Goodbar. You had your Snickers.
Snickers was in the. That's right. It was the late 70s, right?
The whatchamacallit, I think, was the 70s.
Really?
I think so. I think I remember having a whatchamacallit in the 70s. Peanut butter cups.
Hey, Jamie, pull that up. We need Jamie to pull that. Jamie, pull that up. When the hell fuck did whatchamacallits come out? We need to find out. Was it the 70s or the 80s? Where the fuck's Jamie? Is Jamie on fucking hiatus?
It's funny you should mention. It's funny you should mention candy because I did almost say like Skittles.
Why Skittles?
I don't know. It just popped into my head, Skittles. And I used to like Skittles. I used to eat Skittles. I don't mean more.
You
Skittles.
like Skittles?
Yeah. Well, I did. Now they're really bad. Just sugar and.
What do you mean bad? Like they taste good?
Well,
or they're bad. They taste like shit.
Well, they're just really bad for you. I mean,
well, they're good though. But like everything that's bad for you is good, right?
Every now and then, I'll be like, man, I wish I had some Skittles, but I don't buy them.
Why don't you buy them?
Because they're not good for you.
But do you like them?
Yeah.
See? Just fucking buy them, bro. Just chill. Go get them.
Give the old dog some Skittles?
Just get happy. Like, why what do you mean they're bad for you? I bet you there's a million things that you eat all day that's fucking bad for you, but you're going to cut it off at Skittles? Come on, bro. What the fuck? What are you fucking like fucking Mr. fucking Lance Armstrong going to fucking win the Tour de fucking France? Like, tell me you're fucking healthy fucking and like? Ripped or something? Come on, bro. Are you going to stop at Skittles?
What candy did you eat in the 80s?
All of it. Like everything. Like like you said Skittles, but then like I didn't hear nothing. Whatchamacallit? Okay. Whatchamacallit was released in 1978, Jamie.
What was that? What was the name of it? The $100,000 bar.
Yeah, $100,000.
$100,000.
Now it's like, what's $100,000? That's like nothing. You can't even buy a car.
You'd have to call it like $3 billion.
Right. Because now it's like 2 fucking cents. Like inflation.
It's got inflation.
This bar tastes cheap. I don't know why. It tasted so good 40 years ago. Now it tastes cheap.
It tastes. Maybe it's like a different country's currency now. It's like 100,000 won or something.
Oh right, yeah. There you go. What's the most valued currency there is?
Oh, gold.
Yeah, but like what country's currency? Not gold.
I have no
gold
idea.
is not a currency.
Well, that's true. It used to be, not anymore.
Yeah, 5,000 years ago, it was a currency.
You can't walk into a place with a bar of gold and get the cashier.
You couldn't even fucking give away a bar of gold on the street because people are like, I don't know, what is that? They're like, I can't buy shoes.
It must be worth something. Fort Knox is still filled with it.
Well, yeah, it's worth something, but not to fucking people. You know what I mean? Maybe to governments.
Yeah.
Not to people. People don't even know what a gold bar is.
You want to pay off the Sandinistas.
Dude, was there a candy bar called a gold bar or some shit like that? You would think there would be.
Gold bar. Oh. Boy, it seems like there was, but I don't remember it.
Seemed like there should have been.
I don't remember.
Check this out. So you stopped at Skittles and whatchamacallit.
Skittles, whatchamacallit.
And $100,000 bar.
100,000.
And you did say Snickers, which I think you're right. That was in the 70s too, because when I was in the 70s, I barely remember like enjoying the crazy candies in the 70s because I'm a kid. Why the fuck should I be eating all these candies? But then once the 80s and you're like slowly little older, you're eating more candy. So I'm eating shit like O. Henry. You ever heard of that shit?
Yes.
I don't know.
Bit of honey. Bit of honey was a 70s.
That sounds like a thing, but like
that was a 70s
what was that?
Thing. Bit of honey. It was like this. It was like chewing on tar.
That's not good.
It was a honey flavored piece of tar.
So was there chocolate in there?
No, it was just this like a weird honey taffy.
Yeah, that sounds like some grandma shit. That's like some grandma.
Absolutely. That's like that jar.
Would you like a bit of honey?
That's like it's in there with the bowl with all the hard candies that are all stuck together.
Right. How about this one? What about Chunky? You ever eat Chunky?
Yes, I've had chunky before.
Yeah,
Chocolate
those things,
and raisins.
That shit was crazy, right? There was no nuts in there? It was just raisins?
Didn't they have two different varieties?
Maybe. I just remember nuts in there. I would think
I don't remember nuts. I remember raisins.
I remember if it was just chocolate and raisins, I'd be like, get the fuck out of here with that. Like, what else?
So when did you're saying the candy explosion happened in the 80s? It's kind of like the cereal explosion after that. Like all of a sudden, all these candies
it was all connected because it was probably all the same companies. That's why you're going in the candy aisle now, and it's all like Mars bars for fucking cereal. You're like, what the fuck? What the fuck is going on with these cereals?
Yeah.
How about this? I got one that I hate. And but I ate it though. And I didn't understand it because they were already such good shit like Snickers, whatchamacallit. Those things turned into ice cream, by the way. You go in the fucking ice cream aisle, you see what's going on over there.
Ice cream too. Ice cream's another one.
This Chips Ahoy ice cream.
Yes.
This fucking Chips Ahoy Snickers.
Snickers ice cream, Heath Bar ice cream. Heath Bar
what the fuck is a Heath Bar? That sounds like something.
You don't know what a Heath Bar is?
I never ate that. That sounds like some shit that was like sideways.
No, that was chocolate and toffee, and it's actually really good.
Yeah, see, that to me, that
and
sounds
it's really great in ice cream.
That's all it is chocolate and toffee?
When I gained my freshman 50 on like Ben and Jerry's Heath Bar Crunch ice cream. It was ridiculously good.
Wow.
It was ridiculously good.
See? And what, you gonna
I got fat. Oh, gained so much.
Just from being a freshman?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I went nuts. Jesus Christ, I went nuts as a freshman.
What do you think triggered that?
I don't know. I was just loving everything and eating what I wanted, and I had pepperoni subs, and I mean, I should have ass cancer. I don't have ass cancer, but I should.
Yeah, well, you know what comes first is diabetes. Diabetes comes first, and then everything comes after that. Unless you get fucking you get dealt a shit hand, then it's like, how did I get the cancer before the diabetes? That don't make no sense. But yeah, like we lived on that shit. I lived on that shit. Like if I'm amazed, like because I already said once before that I fucking log my meals every day for a decade.
Yeah.
If I was a kid, and let's say my parents' job was to make sure that they logged what the fuck the kids ate. If you saw what the fuck we lived on for the first decade of our fucking lives, you'd be like, how are these children not dead? These, excuse me, Mrs. Whatever the fuck. Your kids should be dead. This is what they eat. But you know what's funny? When you go to the doctor and you got problems, you know what they never ask you? What the fuck you eat? They never ask you that shit. Yet somehow, when you fucking go in there, they're like, yeah, you know you got this because of all the shit you ate, right? It's like, so which one is it? Do I eat? Do I not eat? Do you need to know what I eat? Do you not? So it's like, nah, just take these fucking pills. Take these pills. The
doctor will tell you.
Yeah, he'll tell you because it's all coming back in his face. He'll be like, you had a fucking Heath Bar in 1990.
He's like, you got to eat your fruits and vegetables for fiber, move everything through. The ass doctor will tell you that.
Yeah, except he's got to know if you got diabetes first before he tells you that. Because you can't eat fruits and vegetables, certain ones, if you got fucking diabetes. And there's some that are not the right ones. So you can't just willy-nilly tell a motherfucker, eat your fruits and vegetables. You know what else What? You worked at a what?
I worked at a Burn Dairy.
A what?
A Burn Dairy right here in town. It's before convenience stores just kind of exploded. That was another thing in the 80s. I mean, convenience stores were just not, there wasn't like $1 million Generals and 1 million convenience stores. There was.
What the fuck is that word that you said? Burn Dairy?
Burn Dairy.
Who's Burn?
Burn.
Burn is the guy?
It's the guy, is whoever established the company. And it was, they have like, they do milk and dairy products, but then they also
milk?
had this. They do milk.
They do milk.
Milk.
That's like elk. That's like elk mixed with milk.
With an M. Anyway, I worked at a Burn Dairy. Think convenience store basically, but the focus was on dairy shit. And this huge woman was like the mainstay manager person there.
Nice.
She was just this miserable. I mean, she was the biggest person I had ever met.
She was miserable?
She was miserable.
Why?
She was awful because she was huge and she was very unhealthy.
But why was she huge?
Have you ever smelled a diabetic?
I don't know.
Have you ever been on the subway next to somebody fat who they've got diabetes and they got a certain smell?
I assume the smell is piss.
No.
What is it?
Not. It is a distinct body odor that diabetics get that is beyond
You mean
words.
the fat ones?
The really big ones.
So what is it about
it's
fat
not
diabetes?
I don't know. There's something that comes out of their skin, and there's some sort of bacteria that just harbors every fold.
Maybe it's just that they're fat. Maybe you just go around smelling fat people, and you're like, they all smell like that.
No, because she could take 5 showers and still smell like that.
Oh yeah. So describe it more. What is that?
Oh, it was this bitter, musky, fat fuck smell. Just unbelievable odor.
And that wasn't maybe just her vaginosis?
Well, she would always blame it on her diabetes.
Oh, I thought you were going to say on her vaginosis. So she blamed the stink? So she knew she stunk?
Oh, absolutely.
Wow. I've never seen this.
There was days when I would go in and I couldn't be anywhere near her.
Holy shit.
And it would get on me. I would have to go home and change my clothes. And I mean, dude.
I think that sounds like it was just her. You know, I lived in the city all my life, packed like sardines everywhere. I never smelled nothing like that from one person that was fat.
No, because after that, I had crossed paths with a couple other people now and then, just really big people.
With
really
diabetes.
Big. They got to have it. If that's, I mean, unless
I think it's that they're fat.
There's a smell.
That's what it is. It's a smell.
There's a smell.
I've been behind super fat people online at the grocery store.
Yeah.
And there's one smell that you get even 2 feet out, and it's piss. And you know what it is? I always assume they're so fat that their pubic mound is covered in folds. You know what I mean? So that when they piss,
fat upper. There's a term for that. It's fat upper pubic area, fupa.
Yeah, I've heard that. But it's this is not a fupa. This is like a fucking whale attached to a fupa, attached to a fucking side of a mountain with folds inside of it. So what happens is, you ever see those dogs with those bulldogs with the folds in their face where you got to clean them out with Q-tips every day, otherwise they smell? That's what's happening with fat people with folds in the fupa
I'm pretty
area.
sure. Yeah.
And that's why you immediately start smelling piss. And it's it has nothing to do with that stink that I smell, which is just whoa, what the fuck is that? Okay, maybe the motherfucker got diabetes.
Have you ever smelled a really bad infected something, like an infected cut?
I've smelled homeless people before with fucking necrosis. So maybe that's it.
It was kind of like that smell, like a bacterial rot.
Well, now we're
and
getting
she's walking around this store and people are trying to buy shit and
now I get it.
Just smelled.
There's these things that diabetics have where they get gangrene and shit and their fucking tissue starts dying and they have edema and then they cut their toes off. That's probably what she was getting. So she was probably rotting away. That's what that was.
Yeah, because it's undescribable. I mean, it was completely unique, and that was the only odor. And like I said,
and you've smelled other people like that.
I've smelled it now and then. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Just big, But
people. They're always big.
Oh yeah.
What about skinny diabetics? You don't smell it, right?
No.
So it's not diabetes. It's called fat necrosis.
Probably not. I don't think diabetes literally causes the odor, but that's what she used to blame it on.
Oh, yeah, of course. Well, you got to blame it on something, not Heath bars. You can't blame it on no Heath bars or Milky Ways.
It smelled like there was a dead, infected raccoon right up underneath her fifth fold or something.
You know what it is? You smelled what it was. It was a dead infected raccoon, because you smelled it. It's that's who she was. Can you imagine, that means, no wonder. So now I understand why she was so miserable. Nobody wanted to be near this person.
And she's got this raccoon she's carrying around.
Dude, did she live with anyone in the house?
I don't know.
She was alone?
She was such an angry, miserable person.
Angry at life. You see what I'm saying? And why though? Because she ate herself to death ate herself
Pretty
into
much.
anger, right? So it's like you
Yeah.
did this to yourself. You know that, right?
Pretty much.
So like, why walk around angry? Just take fucking responsibility for what the fuck you did.
You're fat. People are supposed to be jolly.
I know, like Santa Claus.
Santa Claus.
You know what I was gonna say? So back to the '80s candies that I hated, that I ate them anyway, but like it was just kind of like, you know what? It's like you get bored. Like I was saying this before to you, you have such like so many choices. Every now and then you're like, I already had the best of the best. Let me try once again this Three Musketeers bar, which has basically nothing in it. It's got chocolate and this fucking disgusting gray paste inside of it.
You're talking about nougat.
That's what they called it. And you know what it was? The fucking Three Musketeers bar was as long as my arm. So like you couldn't like fucking take a bite out of it, and you were like, so like the first bite, you were like, oh yeah, that's interesting. And then there's like this tang in there, probably from that gray paste. And then by the second bite, you're like, I don't know if I can keep doing this. By the third bite, you're like, I had enough of this. And then you're looking at this fucking thing as long as your arm. You're like, what am I going to do with this? This
still
sucks.
3 feet of it left.
This fucking shit sucks. It's almost like they figured out a way. They were like, what are we going to do with all this horrible shit? Make it really big so they have to buy it. And you know they're not going to eat the whole thing. That was their whole strategy. They're like, well, how much are we going to sell it for? Well, you sell the whole fucking thing for 60 cents. It's only worth a half a penny, but they'll fucking buy it and we'll be rich. Very smart people. You know what else I hated? The fucking Mounds. Like, who the fuck ate Mounds? And then
Mounds is easy to bite into, and then after you bite into it, it's like instant regret. It's all that freaking coconut.
I know. It's like you got to love
you
fucking
just
coconut,
chew
right?
and chew, and it's like it makes more coconut in your mouth while you're chewing it.
And their whole
and
shit. Their whole shit was like, we're going to sell this horrible candy. How? Well, we got to write a song about it. You remember the song?
And make sure it's got a nut on top. Something about Almond Joy's got nuts and Mounds don't.
Almond Joy, right? That's what it was. And Mounds don't.
Wasn't it?
Why the fuck Mounds don't? So what?
I don't know. And they're Mounds.
So who the fuck came
What
up
are the
with
mounds
Mounds
of what?
Mounds of
I don't
what?
know.
Right? Mounds of coconut.
I don't know, but it didn't matter because they were selling it and people were buying it, and it's like
People
there was
were
enough
buying.
coconut
You know
in
what?
one Mounds bar to last 5 years. You just chew.
If there was a fucking bowl full of 80s candy bars, right?
Yeah.
You know what's interesting? Like the best ones, you know what the best ones are. They're going to go first.
Sure.
And you know
you
what?
better be the first one into that bowl.
Right. And then you know what happens? As they start going, all the best ones. So what are the best ones? Clearly, all the Snickers are going to be gone, right? All
Snickers.
the Twix are going to go away immediately, right?
Twix, Kit Kat.
Fucking Kit Kats are going to disappear immediately. If you got
Hershey Kisses.
If you got whatchamacallits in there, there's going to fucking go away immediately.
You betcha. I'm taking every whatchamacallit out
Right.
of that,
So,
out of that bowl.
and then what happens is by the time all the good shit goes away, you know what's left over?
Candy corn.
Old people shit.
Old people candy.
So, like, the older you are, the more satisfied you are with bland shit. You notice that?
Yes. Bland or unusual.
Like, it's like serious. No, that candy's serious. It's so bland. It's like the serious ones. It's like, I'm not eating just plain old
it's
fucking
candy
chocolate.
if you've got the other kind of diabetes where you need sugar.
Well, there's a different kind of diabetes where you need sugar.
Yeah, you get low blood sugar and you have
Dude,
to eat
that's not
sugar.
how diabetes works. Diabetes is it goes up and down. You need both. You're fucked. That's what it is.
Yes. I don't know.
Yeah, you eat and then you don't eat, and it's insulin. So, like, the thing is, when you're diabetic, the problem with you is now at any moment you could die. So you have to make sure you know what the fuck you're eating, and you got to have insulin to support that shit. That's the whole problem with diabetes. What's crazy is we're all getting more and more diabetes now, and everyone's like, nah, it's cool. Like, don't worry about it. Like, we got pills for that. Isn't that crazy?
We do.
But
we
like
have pills for everything.
You know, the old people candy. What was the most serious thing that was barely candy, that was considered candy, but only to old people?
You know, I always think about around the holidays. Do you remember that hard, flat ribbon candy?
What the fuck is that?
That ribbon
Did
candy.
it have a name?
It was like little wavy ribbon candy. It was ribbon candy. That's what the
fuck it was called?
Yeah.
That's the
And it was
brand?
and it was either fruity or like minty, and it was this wavy flat.
Minty.
It looked like a little miniature version of lasagna noodles, like wavy.
That sounds
flat,
horrible.
And it was hard as rock, but it was flat. And it would all stick together in the bowl that your grandmother had. It was ribbon candy.
Where the fuck was she buying that shit? World War II?
It was a holiday thing. It was everywhere. That might have been more of a 70s candy, but I think it bled into my 80s, I'm sure. But yeah, ribbon candy. The mainstay candy to hate is always the candy corn. I hate that shit.
That's the worst, right?
It's like the worst. I don't know.
Garbage, like colored garbage.
Unbelievable
Yeah,
what
people
the
eat
weird
it.
flavor that is. But yeah, somebody wants some sugar, like a freaking, Alzheimer's patient.
Is there
Go
anything,
back and get more.
I think that there's something way worse than all that. When you're a kid,
Old people candy?
Yeah, you know what you will not eat because only fucking adults eat this shit? And you're like, what is that? And you're looking at it. Because like when you're 8.
Marzipan?
No, like that. Like what the fuck is that? That sounds like some candy. You know what I mean? Like
Marzipan.
That sounds like some real fucking sweet, fancy shit. Like that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the shit where like you're looking at it when you're 8 and you're like, I know that one day when I'm fucking old, that is all I'm going to eat. But I'm going to be so old.
As soon as I can't learn any more new tricks.
Right. I'm going to be so old and tired and boring. And I don't know.
I'm going to die with this in my mouth.
That's the only thing that I'll be allowed to eat because my life will be so sad and depressing. And the thing that kind of like really is that for me is special dark chocolate. You ever seen like a whole bar like the size of like your fucking thigh of special dark and you're just
talking about
the
fuck large, is that? Like the 1 pound block of Hershey's special dark candy.
Adults bought that, and it wasn't candy. It was special dark chocolate. And if you tasted it, you wanted to run into the toilet to throw up because there was
reminded me
no
of a really
sugar
hilarious
in there.
Thing. You just reminded me of the most hilarious thing that ever happened to me as a little kid.
Oh, yeah? What happened?
I was home, and one thing we always had is when I was a kid was the Nestle, the metal tin with the little round metal cap on it of Nestle hot cocoa mix.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Remember that? There was like a oblong metal can with a lid. You kind of had to pry off almost with like a
I had the Hershey's version of that.
Yeah, whatever this
I
was.
didn't
was
fuck
Nestle.
with no Nestle.
Well, we ran out of that, and I used to sneak spoonfuls of it. Just like
because it was so sweet, right?
Yeah, it was just nice powdery, and it would melt in your
Sugar
mouth.
powder.
It was like eating a chocolate bar without chewing. Well, we ran out of it, but I saw this other can in the pantry.
Oh shit!
You know what it was, don't you?
I don't know what the fuck.
It was fucking baking cocoa.
What? Oh yeah! Oh, I can't wait for this. You got the fucking surprise of your life.
I didn't grab a teaspoon that day. I grabbed a tablespoon.
Because you were like, I'm going all the way with this.
I opened the lid on it, and it was all nice and dark, and it looked like dark, rich, wonderful chocolate.
Couldn't wait.
It's fucking baking cocoa.
Yeah.
Have you ever tasted baking cocoa?
No, because I knew that shit did not look like fucking shit you wanted in your mouth. Like the special dark. I looked at that going,
well,
nah.
This looked like it looked very similar to the Nestle cocoa.
Yeah, but the word baking usually should give it away.
Yeah, well, I didn't know. I stuck that in my mouth, and it was like instant regret.
Holy, what'd you do?
It reminds me now of the cinnamon challenge or whatever those kids are doing these days, where they stick the cinnamon in their mouth and they don't realize it. You breathe that shit in and it's it's not good for you. Oh, I practically threw up. I had so much trouble getting it out of my mouth because it had all caked.
Nice.
And
yeah, you could have died.
You get that dribbling down your chin. It was so bitter and so caked, and it was awful. And I had to kind of hide it. But then you go in the bathroom and you shut the door and lock it and try to get rid of it. You're trying to get it out of your mouth, and the whole sink is turning black.
Holy shit. How long did this go on for? And did anybody see that you almost died?
I fought with that baking cocoa for about 15 minutes.
Dude, was that your secret so that nobody knew, like shit in your pants? Or did somebody find out?
I don't think I told anybody.
Wow, amazing.
You're hearing it here first.
Dude, you just reminded me. I got a funny story just like that, except I wasn't like, it was only mentally painful because I didn't have any like repercussions that almost made me die. But like, you're going to love this one. So one day, I'm hungry. I'm like a teenager. I'm fucking chilling in my room. It might have even been like a Saturday where it's just like everybody was like, everybody was chill. It's like 3 p.m. or some shit. And I don't cook because I'm like a stupid teenager. I'm like, Mom, I'm hungry, right? My mother's like, well, I don't know what I'm going to, it's not dinner time yet. So she's like, oh, wait, I know. So-and-so brought by a fucking bag of rice the other day. I'll make you some rice. We'll put something in there, maybe.
Rice.
Whatever. I was like, rice.
White rice?
Yeah, it was like white rice. I don't even remember if I was eating something with it. I was just like, and now when I think about it, I'm like, why the fuck would I even eat just like white rice? But anyway, I don't know.
Chinese family
For some weird reason, my mother was like, I got this rice. It's been sitting here. So-and-so dropped it off. It was like government rice. Like he was like on welfare. Like they give you cheese and rice like as part of your food stamps program. And he came with this government rice. And he was like, here you guys go. I don't need this. This is too much rice for me. So she goes in there. She makes this fucking rice. I'm sitting there. I'm eating it. I'm in my fucking room, right? And I'm just eating it. I'm on the computer or whatever the fuck it is that I'm doing because, like, we just got a computer probably. And I'm like fucking, I don't know if I'm playing video games or learning something. And I'm fucking sitting there and I'm like looking at the rice, which is white rice. And I'm like, yo, what are these black dots in here? I'm like looking at them, right?
Oh, no.
And I'm looking closer and I'm like, get a real close look. And I'm like, oh, shit, that black dot got like legs on it. And then I was like, yo, Ma, there's fucking bugs in my fucking rice. And I already ate half the bowl. She's like, what? No way. I was like, you made fucking rice with bugs. Rice. My mother made fucking rice with bugs and fed it to me. So then we went to look in the cupboard with that fucking bag. There's fucking dead bugs in the rice. She fucking cooked the shit like that. Didn't notice it. Here you go, son. Eat the fucking bugs. So I ate bugs.
Fed her kid the bugs.
Believe that shit?
Yeah, it's just like eating ground coffee.
So, yeah, maybe it's not so bad that we're going to eat bugs. We're going to eat cockroach legs and all that shit. Eat the bugs, everybody.
The bugs are the healthiest part of that white rice.
Man, we got to fucking...
White rice?
That's going to... I don't know if I can handle this now. I got to keep driving and try not to crash into something now. I think we need to keep our fucking eyes on the road.
Keep your eyes on the road, ass in the seat, baby.
Yeah, don't eat those bugs.
Don't eat any bugs.